Minions are small, yellow creatures who have existed since the beginning of time, evolving from yellow single-celled organisms into beings which exist only to serve history's most evil masters. But they accidentally end up killing all their masters, including a Tyrannosaurus, a caveman, a pharaoh, and Count Dracula. They are driven into isolation after firing a cannon at Napoleon while in Russia and start a new life inside a cave. But after many years, the minions become sad and unmotivated without a master to serve. To regain their dignity and sense of purpose, a minion named Kevin recruits two minions called Stuart and Bob, setting out to look for a new master. In 1968, the three journey to New York City, where they end up in a department store for the night, and accidentally discover a hidden commercial broadcast for villains advertising VillainCon, a convention for all villains and supervillains in Orlando, Florida. The next day they manage to hitchhike a ride with the Nelsons, a family of thieves. At the convention, they see Scarlet Overkill, an incredibly famous and popular supervillainess who unexpectedly hires them and takes them to her home in London. They phone the rest of the minions to get them to join. Scarlet plans to steal the imperial state crown from Queen Elizabeth II and promises to reward the minions if they steal it, and kill them if they do not. Her husband, Herb, supplies them with inventions to aid in the heist, but they are nearly caught when they break into the Tower of London. The chase leads to Bob accidentally crashing into the sword in the stone and pulling it free to defend himself and his friends, causing Bob to remove the Queen from the throne and become king. Enraged that someone else accomplished her dream of stealing the throne, Scarlet confronts the minions, so Bob abdicates the throne in her favor. Undeterred, Scarlet imprisons the three in a dungeon before her coronation and Herb attempts to torture the trio, but they escape with the intention to apologize to Scarlet at her coronation. Minions is a 2015 American computer-animated comedy film produced by Illumination Entertainment and distributed by Universal Pictures. It is the spin-off prequel and the third installment overall in the Despicable Me franchise. Directed by Pierre Coffin and Balda, written by Brian Lynch, and produced by Chris Meledandri and Janet Healy, the film stars the voices of Coffin as the Minions, including Kevin, Stuart, and Bob, Sandra Bullock, Jon Hamm, Michael Keaton, Allison Janney, Steve Coogan, Jennifer Saunders, and is narrated by Geoffrey Rush. Minions debuted in London on June 11, 2015, and was released in the United States on July 10. Despite receiving mixed reviews from critics, it was a solid success at the box office, earning $1.159 billion worldwide, and became the fifth highest grossing film of 2015. the 10th highest grossing film of all time, and the second highest grossing animated film of all time during its theatrical run. A sequel, Minions: The Rise of Gru, is scheduled to be released in July 2022. Minions has an approval rating of 55% based on 222 professional reviews on the review aggregator website Rotten Tomatoes, with an average rating of 5.8 out of 10. Its critical consensus reads, "The Minions' brightly colored brand of gibberish-fueled insanity stretches to feature length in their self-titled Despicable Me spin-off, with uneven but often hilarious results." Metacritic, which uses a weighted average, assigned Minions a score of 56 out of 100 based on 35 critics, indicating mixed or average reviews. Jesse Hassenger of The A.V. Club gave the film a C, saying Minions has idiosyncratic roots, but it's a franchise play all the way. Finally, even 5-year-olds have their own movie that mechanically cashes in on something they loved when they were younger. Michael O'Sullivan of The Washington Post gave the film 2.5 stars out of 4, saying, "I, too, once enjoyed the Minions, in the small doses that they came in. But the extra strength Minions is, for better or for worse, too much of a good thing." Brian Truitt of USA Today gave the film 2.5 stars out of 4, saying, "Brian Lynch's screenplay features a series of amusing sight gags and physical comedy that mostly hits. Watching the Minions play polo while riding corgis is an exercise in cuteness." Tom Russo of the Boston Globe gave the film 2 stars out of 4, saying, "Impressive as it is that the filmmakers get so much comedic mileage out of their characters' half-intelligible prattling, the conventional dialogue is bafflingly flat." Manohla Dargis of the New York Times said, "While Minions explores nominally new narrative ground, it folds neatly into a series that now includes 2 features, various shorts, books, video games, sheet music and a theme park attraction. So, different but also the same." Tom Long of the Detroit News gave the film a B, saying Minions is every bit as cute as it's supposed to be, a happily empty-headed animated frolic that rarely pauses to take a breath. Peter Travers of Rolling Stone gave the film 2 stars out of 4, saying, "It's not whether this prequel can mint money, that's a given. The questions are, can the Minions carry a movie all by their mischievous mini-selves? Fraid not." Kerry Lengel of the Arizona Republic gave the film 2.5 stars out of 5, saying, "Despite the dizzying pace of carefully calibrated incongruities, Minions somehow never generates more than the occasional chuckle." Christopher Orr of The Atlantic said, "There's plenty of high-velocity comic inanity on display to keep kids happily diverted. But the movie's major flaw is an extension of its own premise. Search as they may, the Minions never find a villain worthy of their subservience." Liam Lacey of The Globe and Mail gave the film 2 stars out of 4, saying, "With its episodic stream of slapstick gags, Minions has moments of piquant absurdity, but mostly its shrill but cutesy anarchy works as a visual sugar rush for the preschool set." After making their way to Westminster Abbey, Stuart and Bob interrupt the coronation by inadvertently dropping a chandelier on Scarlet, who survives the falling fixture and orders their execution. Stuart and Bob are captured by other villains, while Kevin hides in a pub, He sees Scarlett on television, promising that she will kill Stuart and Bob if Kevin does not show up by dawn. With the villains still searching for him, Kevin sneaks into Scarlett's castle to steal weapons, and accidentally triggers a machine Herb was building and grows into a gigantic minion. Kevin tramples through London, rescues his friends and battles Scarlett just as the other minions turn up in London. Scarlett tries to eradicate them by firing a massive missile, but Kevin swallows it. Scarlett and Herb attempt to escape with her rocket dress only for Kevin to hold onto it and get pulled into the sky. The missile finally explodes, seemingly killing Kevin, Scarlett, and Herb. As the minions mourn the loss of their leader, Kevin survives and returns to his normal size. The Queen gets her throne and crown back. She rewards Bob with a tiny crown for his teddy bear Tim, Stuart with an electric guitar, and Kevin with a knighthood. The still-alive Scarlett and Herb steal the crown again, but a young Jiu uses a freeze ray on them and flees with the crown on a rocket-powered motorbike. The minions run after him, deciding he is the boss they were looking for.